Jason, the couple guys that we discussed last week did go ahead and make their decisions. That would be Rondell Bothoyd from Wake Forest, really productive defensive lineman, and Davon Sears out of Texas State along the defensive front.
Yeah, Mark, two big, I think, big time additions for Oklahoma around on that defensive line. Davon Sears is a guy that is you look at the team that he played for the last few years, and it could be one of those things where you start to I don't know, maybe roll your eyes a little bit. Oklahoma's going after a Texas State kid, but he was very well thought after from the portal. Had offers was between Oklahoma and Penn State, and then Tennessee was the third. Not necessarily third in that order, but the top three teams that he was looking at. So really good company that Oklahoma got with him. So he's a guy that should be able to help obviously from a depth perspective, but should be able to go in and compete at that defensive tackle spot where Oklahoma lost quite a few folks, but still performed pretty well towards the end of the season with some of those younger kids. It's a group that really got better. And then you look at Rondell Bothoyd, was a guy, I think 6 or 7 sacks last year, has over 14 sacks in his last 2 years for Wake Forest. He's a guy that you think, Mark, will probably be a plug and play guy, a guy that you would assume with his productivity at Wake Forest would have every opportunity to be an instant day one starter. So Oklahoma's made a lot of headway on the defensive line and understood, very clearly where there was some, potential gaps, deficiencies, and guys that, probably aren't at the level that they need to be to play at the University of Oklahoma. So they're going to continue to do that. There's still some. I would still expect there's a couple of defensive tackles that Oklahoma continues to be in the mix with from a transfer portal perspective. But both of these guys are really good adds for Oklahoma here, and they'll continue to look for guys on that defensive line because as we know and as we've seen in the national championship game, that offensive line and defensive line is going to continue to be things at a high level that allow you to compete. You're going to, I think, at a school like Oklahoma, you're going to have skill position players that are comparable to some of those guys, but where kind of where the rubber meets the road is going to be on the offense and defensive lines. And so Oklahoma will continue to be active. I'm sorry, I can't speak today. Continue to be active there on the defensive line, and then there's a couple of guys on the offensive line that they're going to continue to go after and look for in terms of depth to kind of build that unit as well.